Hey, welcome back to the Facts and Firearms channel. Today we're going to talk about one specific, less lethal self-defense tool. Now, usually when you say less lethal, the first response someone says is that like less pregnant? It's either lethal or it's non-lethal. The term arose to describe something intended to be non-lethal, with the understanding that anything non-lethal, including a punch to the head, can turn out to be fatal depending on the totality of the circumstances. Probably today our most popular intermediate force weapon is the pepper spray. For long since before I came along, and you can see how old I am, the saying among cops was there's a very large gray area between a kind word and a bullet, and you need something inside that gray area. The pepper spray has emerged as perhaps the most useful and certainly the most commonly carried of the intermediate force weapons. Caveat, check with your state. There are some jurisdictions that require a permit to carry this stuff. And it would always be a good idea to get training with it. It's been sold to the public as the magic spray that makes the bad guy go away. And you just go, psh, and it turns Godzilla into a quivering salamander. And it doesn't exactly work that way. You want to have at least a 4-hour class, which will include movement patterns. When you come up, you spray and move. This stuff is designed to go into the face, the eyes, and the respiratory system of the violent attacker. Even if it works perfectly and it forces the eyes closed, it's going to hurt like hell. Pain triggers rage. If they didn't want to kill you before, they will definitely want to kill you after you've been sprayed them in the eyes with something that burns like hell. Spray and move. Don't be where they last saw you, because they're going to come at you where they last saw you, and they're going to come at you like one of the rhinos in the movie 300. You don't want to be standing where they're going. The other advantage of having pepper spray training is I would recommend taking a class where you yourself take a hit with a spray. The exception would be if you have any history of eye problems, any history of respiratory problems, or even cardiac or cardiovascular problems. That advice is no longer operative. Don't take the hit. Otherwise, take the hit. Number one, you want to have a good idea what it's really going to do to an opponent and what it's not. Okay, we were taught in law enforcement to take a hit so we could fight through it. There have been cases of bad guys who deliberately got sprayed themselves before they ever went out and committed an assault or a crime to learn to fight through it. The other reason to take the training and to take the hit is if after you've had to spray the mugger, the rapist, whatever, and they try to come back on you and say, oh, he caused me permanent eye damage with that stuff, I want your instructor to be able to go into court and say, oh, for heaven's sake, the defendant took a hit from it herself in my class. And that sends that particular argument against you spinning down into the ground. Of the different types, there are lots of good brands on the market. Right now, the experts, the people who specialize in teaching the aerosol and capacitant, are recommending the Palm brand. And let me say, this podcast, this video, whatever you want to call it, is not sponsored by Palm or anyone else who produces this type of product. This is the standard pocket size. This is the one that my wife carries. She finds it extremely convenient. This is the police version, and I have to notice that this one, for civilians, is rated for 12 feet maximum effective distance, and the police version for 18 feet. Carry them on safe. There is a possibility of inadvertent discharge, and practice flipping them into position and activating them and getting them ready to work. I would suggest, if you're going to carry pepper spray, you have 3 or 4 different canister options. The fogger is going to be the fastest to deploy if you've got a close-in attack. It doesn't require precision accuracy. You're sending out a cone that's hopefully, even if you're off by a couple inches, still going to get his eyes, still going to get into his respiratory system. But the price you pay for that is twofold. It shortens your effective range, and there is a greater possibility of cross-contamination. For distance, let's say you're going to take a walk along the shores of Lake Michigan in February. You can expect some pretty strong winds. You're not going to have a chance to go to see which way the wind is blowing before you deploy your pepper spray in a sudden attack. And you don't want that stuff blowing back into your face and nailing you more than it's nailing your opponent. Streamer will prevent that. Streamer will give you greater distance, but it also in turn demands greater accuracy. You might wish, if you see yourself, if your particular threat profile is such, you see yourself having to employ it in a crowded area, to minimize cross-contamination, that is, getting it on you or getting it on other innocent parties and affecting them adversely. You might want to consider the foam or the pepper gel. It's much less likely to cross-contaminate. Finally, you should have a drone, that is, an inert unit that sprays just water or water and soap or something for practice. You don't want to carry a gun you're not practiced with. You don't want to carry pepper spray you're not practiced with. You want to have experience getting that thing out, getting it on a moving opponent, and doing so as you yourself are moving and sidestepping. So it's a little more complicated than it sounds. That said, is it worth it? Sure. For every situation you're going to be in that warrants a gun, it's likely you'll be in more situations where you need to either lay hands on people or otherwise physically restrain them, but deadly force is not yet warranted. You've got to have something in that middle ground. Think about it. Make sure also that you, because, they need to be shaken up before they're used, make sure you've got the user protocols down right. Pay attention to the expiration dates. They're not kidding you. It's not a best used by date, it's an expiration date. When it's expired, empty it into the ground and get rid of it and get another one. They're cheap. A final word, basic common sense, use things the way they're meant to be used. I would not use bear spray unless it was all I had, unless I was attacked while hiking in Alaska, on a human being. The reason being, you're going to get a much wider cone probably than you would have with conventional pepper spray, and you may not get enough in the individual's eyes and respiratory system to stop it. But second, it's not what it was designed for. Worse, I still see the advice of well-meaning but ill-informed people: carry wasp spray and use that, or keep a can of wasp spray by your door to spray the porch pirate or whoever the bad guy might be at the door. Your problem with that is that stuff is a toxic substance. You are spraying poison into someone's eyes, and it's going to be a whole lot easier for plaintiff's counsel or a prosecutor who doesn't like armed citizens much to accuse you of having used excessive force and to actually have grounds to say you did cause grave bodily harm, which is a deadly force level of response. Use things the way they're meant to be used. Leave the wasp spray for the bugs and the bear spray for the bears. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you'll subscribe as always, and we hope you'll ring the bell so we can notify you early of new content. Thanks for tuning in.